doing, Jake?
I'm gonna set up the quadcopter. Gotta do a bit of filming with it. Gonna try to attempt to fly it over my dad and Justin here, walking across this field. Last time we tried this, it was a little too cold out and it wouldn't really start up, and about wrecked it. Well, it's pretty neat these past couple of years. The GoPro camera's been getting more and more popular. Justin got one a couple of years ago and we stuck that on the bottom of the quadcopter so he can allow us to film up in the air and stuff. But
get some footage of it.
We've got a lot of sign along here. In the fall, when you get all the leaves down, sometimes it's tough to see sign. But anyways, we've got quite a bit of sign. So here we're going to actually gang set. We've got a dog proof right here, coon dagger. We've got a pocket set right there. Then we've got another coon dagger right down there. So the coons come by, we're going to be ready for them. And if they run good, then hopefully we'll catch more than one at a time. So. As I've said, you can keep that chain concealed. That'll keep the coons from playing with that. Keep their attention on the trap itself. And we're good to go. Dagger. All right, we got this coon here. I've already dispatched him. He was in that drainage coming out here. We thought maybe it would be a good spot to put a pocket set up underneath here, and that didn't work out. But we just basically set a number 11 in that little water spot right there with some lure, and of course we got the coon. We got these places like this. Coons love to travel these and look for whatever. Plus, it's easier for them to get through the woods. It's just an open path. So anyways, got the creek right here, of course, and got the coon this morning.
well, got another coon today. The DP's doing his job, holding him down, so happy about that. This is first trap of the day, so that's always nice. It makes you feel good about how they ran last night, and hopefully we got some more down the line. It's hard to tell from here what I got further up the creek. But one thing I want to mention about these DPs I don't think we've talked about yet is the dagger and some of the other ones. This is a coon dagger. It's the trigger system, push or pull. We've said that, but one thing about that is you're going to have probably a few more possums than usual because of that reason alone. Possums definitely, they'll work those DPs a little bit too. Not near as much as a coon would, but they'll definitely work it. And them just reaching in and shoving your bait further down is going to fire it. I mean, it wouldn't take much for them to get that set off. So that's why you're going to have a little bit of possum catches mixed in with your coons. Now the other ones are the pull style. I mean, it's definitely possible to get possums that way too, but it's going to be a lot less numbers just for that reason alone, pulling up. So just something to keep in mind. To me, it's not a big deal. I think having the push-pull is going to help my coon numbers, and letting the possum out is pretty easy to do with the DPs. I mean, you just come over and let him out, or whatever you want to do, if you want to keep him or what. But it's not the same as like having a brand new fresh coyote set. You got it all blended perfect, and then all of a sudden you got a possum come in and ruin your set. That's a little more frustrating because you got a little bit more time involved. These things you just punch right in the ground, bam, bait it, and you're out. So it's not as big of a deal. So basically, after having these nice and white, they're definitely going to shine them up. Graying back up is going to pull that original color back out. That's just something you got to deal with. You can repaint them later if you want, or I just normally leave it. Not a big deal. But on these remakes, you're not really doing anything different. You're just gonna come in, get your trigger set up here, and rebait. Sometimes you're lucky and you actually have your bait still down in there. Marshmallows or whatever you've been using. I got a combination here of cat food and marshmallows on this one. I always like to switch it up. I don't think it makes too terrible much of a difference, but it's okay to have a few fall out around. And I fill it up pretty high actually, and because you know, when it rains and the weather settles in and all that good stuff, it's going to slide down into that decker pretty deep, or the DP. I got some Raccoon trailing scent number 1. It's a much sweeter smell. People use fishy stuff, that works fine too, but like I said, having a push-pull system, that's increase your chances of getting the possum in there. And then on top of that, if you're using something stinky or rotten, that's definitely going to increase your chances of having a possum. We can still have a possum in the sweet stuff too, you just never know about them, but I bet it's more likely having that nasty odor coming out. Not to mention, just I like handling my coons when they're not smelling like fish oil and all that nasty stuff they get into when they're rolling around at the set. At least this way they smell pretty good actually. You might want to try this on your toast at home too. It's good stuff. That's it. We're gonna hide this chain just like before, just kind of like what Charlie was showing. Not necessarily because we're worried about it spooking the coon. He has no idea what this is. Just another piece of trash along the creek system is what they probably think it is. But it's just so you don't pull on the chain and knock it over and the bait goes out and you end up missing everything. So, but that's it. We're gonna move on down, see what happens.
Alright, we got this big yellow coon here in the trap. Obviously not the greatest color, but he's nice and prime. It's a good sized coon. Anyways, we've got this ravine right here. I mean, there's not water running in here most of the time, but if it rains, it runs. And those places create, you know, just a natural path to travel for anything from coyotes to deer to raccoons or whatever. The thing about these locations on these creeks, I mean, you could set 200 traps on here if you wanted to. I mean, it's just, which would be ridiculous, but I mean, just to give you an idea, everything looks good and everything would be good. So you just got to kind of process of elimination by looking at the terrain and looking at the path of travel and the flow of the land, and kind of pick your best location. So anyways, got a coon here in a dagger, and we'll take care of him and move on down the creek.
What are we using there, Charlie?
Sweet Success coon bait. Got one loud smell to it. smear it around. The coons will, marshmallows don't have a lot of smell to them. I mean, they do have smell, but not as much as we'd like. So I'm gonna put that in there and get these coons fired up. One thing you always got to bear in mind, I mean, we can smell this stuff is loud. Good sweet smell. Because when the ground's cold and that cold air comes in at night, the sun goes down, that suppresses smell. So just like when you eat something at room temperature always has more flavor than something that comes directly out of the refrigerator. So this is exactly the same. So the louder the smell, or the better in these cold weather situations. So the ground's cold, the air's cold. We want to get that smell out of there. So. Got the classic high bank. I mean, it's one or the other. The coons are either going to run up here on the high bank or they're going to run down here by the water. Late in the fall, early winter, most likely they're going to run the water looking for something to eat. It is a good idea to have some sets up on the high bank. But so anyways, we've got this pinch point here with the high bank. We got the big washed out root base here off of this tree here. So I mean, it's just kind of a classic location. These coons come along here, and this is obviously a good place for them to look for minnows, crawdads, or whatever. So got a coon and a dagger.